Welcome to One More Hour, the podcast all about backyard ultras, timed races, and the ultra running mindset of going one more. If you're an ultra runner, a trail or ultra runner curious about the format, or just someone who loves to test your limits, you're in the right place. I'm Jaci Wilson, an ultra marathon and marathon run coach, trail runner, outdoor enthusiast, and backyard ultra expert. On this show, I'll bring you stories, strategies, and conversations with runners, race directors, experts, and more to help you go further, dig deeper, and keep going when everything in you says stop. Thank you so much for joining me for some yards. Let's get started with one more. Welcome back to the One More Hour podcast, an insider's guide to backyard ultras, timed races, and the ultra mindset of one more. Today's episode is a little bit different. It's our first time having two guests, which I'm super excited about. I thought it would be fun to talk about backyard ultras from both the runner's perspective, but also from a crewing perspective. For some runners and family members and friends, crewing for a backyard ultra may seem pretty straightforward and easy, and a lot of people don't think that it's necessary, or they don't understand the point of having crew for a backyard ultra. But crew can be highly beneficial in the format, and it can get intense and even nerve-wracking at times. So I think that it's going to be a fun conversation to get both perspectives in backyard ultras. So Stormy and Samantha Hild are joining us today to dive into backyard ultras. We're going to talk about Stormy's recent performance of 55 yards at Queeny Backyard Ultra, and we're going to get Samantha's perspective of crewing that race. So Stormy, Sam, thank you so much, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And Stormy, congratulations on running a huge backyard ultra PR of 55 yards. How are you recovering?
I'm recovering well for the most part, but I'd kind of planned on taking a couple weeks off even before the race. I haven't even ran yet since the race, but I've got a couple things I'm working out of the legs, but overall pretty well.
Are you itching to run again?
I am at this point. I haven't been, but yes, I am now.
Yeah. I talked to Jeff 2 nights ago, and he said he also gave himself like a period of time where he wasn't going to run. And he said he made it to 10 days, and he was definitely ready for it. So it'll be fun to get back out there when you're feeling ready for it.
Yeah, I'd say this coming week I'll be back out there. So
Awesome. So before we really dive into backyard ultras and Queeny, can both of you just give a quick rundown of who you are, where you live, and what you do for work?
Yeah, so I'm Stormy Hild, 34, married to this lovely lady, and a dad of a 3-year-old boy and a 1-year-old girl. I'm a lineman for the local power company, and I kind of do this crazy ultra running thing in my free time. So,
What free time we have.
Yeah, what free time we make. But yeah, that's kind of me. I've been ultra running for probably 3 or 4 years now. So, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm Samantha Hild. I am 31. Yes, I can never remember my age. Married to Stormy Hild. Mom of the 2 kids, Denver and Aspen. I don't think you said their names. And I am a BSA officer for a bank here. No one's going to know what that means. In short, I detect money laundering and terrorist financing.
Oh, wow.
Which sounds really intense, but it's really just writing reports on like your local drug dealer. So, yeah.
I still find that fascinating.
Well, I appreciate that. It sounds really intense, but I'm also an ultra runner. I say ish because I've only done one backyard ultra, so I don't come as well accoladed as him. But I'm working my way to do that.
Yes. And you're signed up for another, right?
Yes. So I'm officially signed up for one in September, and then I do plan to run one in May. I just have not signed up yet.
Okay. Why haven't you signed up yet?
I'm being a brat. I don't know. I will, though. I am doing it.
Good. September is Broken Anvil, right? Both of you are running it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's the plan.
Awesome. Oh, I really want to get down for that race. It's probably not going to happen this year, but hopefully next year. It just looks like an awesome race.
It's probably our favorite backyard for sure.
And why is that? Is that because of the course or the people?
Mainly the people. The course is nice. Fairly flat. It's like 150 feet tops of elevation loop. It's a pretty course, nice venue, and the people are great.
Yeah. Like, you know, whenever everyone talks about running a backyard and it feels really inclusive, they like take that so seriously. Like, there's so many people that show up just to run 1 yard, and they're celebrated just as much as, you know, somebody finishing their 100th mile. It's insane. And I think this last year they had like 50 to 70% of people went over the 50-mile mark.
Wow.
It's just insane. And it's just really cool.
That is really good. And I love that there are people that sign up just for the 1 yard, or they're going to run 2 yards, or they're going to run for a little bit and then they're going to crew someone. I love when there's that wide span of distances.
Yes.
So, Stormy, how did you get into backyards and ultras?
Honestly, it's probably influenced most by like David Goggins and Cam Hanes starting out, and then I just kind of, I don't know if I saw maybe Queeny pop up across Facebook or something. I just saw like the last man standing format and how logistically easier it was than like reading about David Goggins going out to Moab and run this 240-mile race. So it'd be a good intro to ultras. So then I found one in Indiana, which was like a 2-hour drive, and signed up for that with a goal of 50 miles, and I did 54, and our tent got wiped out by a windstorm, and we called her a day after that.
No.
Yeah, that was a really great introduction into crewing for me, because it was my first time crewing. I was 25 weeks pregnant.
No.
And I was by myself, and then the windstorm took the tent, not just our tent, like multiple tents across the road. We had a propane heater in the tent that the tent had walls of tarps, and it got, when the wind took the tent, it took the heater with the tarps and myself inside of it. Yeah, it was crazy.
Okay, so now I understand, watching your stories during Queeny, what was going on.
Yes, yeah. So we have very much reinforced the tent. I think partly because Stormy was sick of me having anxiety about the tent blowing away. So he was like, screw it, I'm going to get like 1-foot metal stakes that he drills into the ground with a DeWalt drill.
Well, at that race, there was like almost all the tents had been wiped out except like this one brand, and it's just this Amazon or ABC canopy or something. They were the only ones standing. So right after that race, I went and bought an ABC canopy tent, and I've had it ever since.
That's true.
Yeah, we have these stakes that I drill into the ground with the DeWalt drill, and yeah, we've got it down to a science now, but it took some learning.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm buying that tent now because I'm looking for one. And if you say it works, like we have a lot of wind, so that's my biggest concern when it comes to any kind of tent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call it the tent mahal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for your first backyard, you went 54 miles, tent gets wiped out. How were you feeling before that happened?
Better than I thought I would going into the race. I think I could have kept going. This was shortly after I had a hip stress fracture, like less than a year before that. So I didn't want to kind of ruin my hip, and I kind of started feeling some pains, and I accomplished the goal that I'd set going into it. So I was pretty content leaving at 54 miles for that race.
Did you do a lot of research on what to kind of expect, or were you going into blind in terms of what you need to bring, tent, what you were going to do for crewing, Sam?
I think we did more research on crewing and what we needed than he did as far as, I think he knew what to expect as far as like it's gonna get hard, etc. But what he did make a mistake of in his first 2 backyard ultras, so I'm gonna just call you out right here. He thought it was a race every lap. And I think in part it made him feel really good to come in first and be like, what are you guys doing? You're coming in like 10 minutes behind me. But I think as Laz says, it's easy until it's not. And that's kind of what happened at that race. So I think we probably could have done more research on like how to pace better.
Yeah, I didn't really do much research on strategy.
It's not his style.
Really not much research at all, honestly. But yeah, I don't know, I'd ran a couple marathons and thought it was no big deal to come in at like 42 minutes. That's running an easy pace. And it works and for about 12 hours for me.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
For a lot of people.
if you want to go further than 12 hours, you kind of got to get some strategy going on. So we learned after the first couple to adjust that.
So thinking about your first backyard ultra to, let's see, you ran another one about a year later and you ran another yard and then you ran Broken Anvil and you were the last person standing, right? You hit 100 miles. So what did you kind of change between those 3 races?
Well, the second race was my first edition of Queeny. That was a year after Grind on the Grid, and I went into that race with the goal of 100 miles, and I ended up getting to 58, and I still hadn't learned the pacing strategy, so I was still coming in around 42 minutes or whatever, and I didn't know any different.
I told him to slow down.
So it took 2 of them. It took 2 tries to learn that pacing strategy, and then I was disappointed after the first Queeny because I had a goal of 100 miles and I made it 58, so just barely over halfway. That one I probably learned the most from. That's when I really started to do some research and went into the first Broken Anvil with a goal and a never quit mindset.
Can you talk a little bit? Oh, go ahead, Sam, if you're going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think that's exactly what happened was I think Stormy's track record is learning the hard way. And that's what he did. And I think that's just what it takes sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With a lot of things, right? I think some of those are the best lessons, even though it sucks to go through the hard things to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sam, have you crewed every one of Stormy's races?
Every single one. I have a severe case of FOMO.
Please explain more.
I think I have a control problem. I don't think I've missed a yard or a mile.
Not that I know of.
No, and I think out of the races, I think I've only not been pregnant or postpartum for 3 of them. So it's been quite trying. But yeah, I have been the sole crew member. We've had other people come in, like his best friend Dylan, I trust to crew him. And now my best friend Riley, who's been with us at Cocodona and then this year at Queeny, I would trust her to crew him. He could crew himself, but I think he knows now that like you don't need to, Right. It just makes it so much easier if you have somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the things that you're doing to help Stormy out when you're crewing?
Stormy's actually really easy to crew from a logistics standpoint. Like he knows what he's going to do. He kind of follows the same thing, and he doesn't need a lot of encouragement through words. Like he's, you don't have to keep pushing him out there and keep getting him out, and he's going to do it. But what I do is I just like refill his bottles, make sure he's got warm food if it's cold, and then food options. Like especially whenever you're deep into yards, you don't want to eat anything you don't know what you want to eat. So sometimes I'll just like give him options. And I'm like, you have to pick one of these. And then if it's hot, put ice on his legs, set up the fan in front of his feet, and then also film his every move. I also make this spreadsheet of, I don't know if everybody can see that. Probably not. But it's a spreadsheet of what gel he took, what drink he took, what shoe he's wearing, if he took medicine, if he took a salt pill, and any comments, like what food he ate and stuff. So then we can look back on it and kind of see if we can like pinpoint things like when do things break down and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And have you been able to kind of look at those patterns and see like, okay, this is when it actually started breaking down a little bit?
Yes, I think we learned. So his second attempt at Queeny, he had really bad gut issues, and he usually has like an iron gut, and so that was like new to us, and we were like, what is going on? And I tracked everything he ate during then, and we noticed it kind of started at like the 12-hour mark. And we realized, I think he was doing a gel and BPN's Go One More carb mix every single loop, I think. And I think the G1M just really got to his stomach. And when you're in a backyard, you don't have a lot of time to course correct that. And so I think it took even another backyard after that, because you went back to grind on the grid.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. But I wrecked my gut at the silver ticket Queeny 2 years ago, and yeah, we learned a lot from that one too. But I completely wrecked my gut, and it was messed up for like a week after that. I had to rebuild my like GI lining and whatnot,
Wow.
and it was a learning experience for sure.
So now we alternate a carb mix and just plain water. And I think he's better to take Imodium
Oh yeah.
when he needs to.
Yeah, going in, even at Queeny in 24, I didn't even consider like Imodium, or we weren't prepared for any of that stuff. Like our toolbox we bring now is 3 times the size of the tools we had 2 years ago. So
We're very much maximalist backyard ultra goers.
Well, it's
More
easy,
so.
right?
It is. It's easy to like keep bringing so many things. It's like, and a lot of what we bring is honestly to keep me comfortable, to be honest. He just needs meds, food, and clothes, really. The rest of it is like, well, I kind of want to like feel like I'm in a hotel. A little bit. It might be like the Super 8, but
Yeah. So, what do you think you've learned the most from crewing Stormy?
I need to trust that he knows what he's doing. But I think that goes both ways. I think that he also needs to trust that I know what I'm doing, and I can see things that maybe he's not quite aware of, just because how your brain gets whenever you've been running for so long. I don't know if that's a good answer.
No, I think it is.
I think it is, and I think we both got a lot better at that, and that's kind of translated to my success. Yeah, I ran 200 miles more, almost, or 150 miles more than I did 3 years ago. So it's a lot of trial and error, but we have got a lot better at things.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, and even each backyard, it takes me like 2 to 3 loops to feel like I've kind of like got my groove with like what I need to get ready and what I need to hand him. And also learning like what types of foods that he's just absolutely going to refuse. And kind of, you kind of have to preemptively anticipate what they might want or might need. Like I think at Little Dog, it was in the middle of the night and it wasn't super cold, but it was kind of getting there. And I just had the thought, like, maybe he needs some warm food. And, like, I actually hit the nail on the head, and he was like, that's what I needed. And I was like, yes, I feel like I won.
Well, and the weather can really dictate that, right? You can have a cold race, you can have a hot race. Queenie, you had everything. So it can get tricky figuring out or thinking ahead of like, okay, it is 40 degrees and raining. What is Stormy going to need right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have go-to foods for different temperatures or times of day. Even during the day, it's a lot of fruit and lighter stuff, and during the nights, it's warm food usually, and we're learning kind of what goes down best and when, and going from there.
Yeah, I noticed the fruit. So, do you train with fruit?
No.
Okay.
Before most of my backyards, actually, I'll do like 3 weeks before. I'll try to do
12.
like 12 loops through the night, and that'll be like my big training run. And I'll simulate like a backyard, and sometimes on those I'll try to simulate like what foods I'll be eating during the backyard. And I'd leave every hour and do it just like a backyard. But other than that, I don't train with any kind of food like that.
Okay. I saw the big bowl of fruit and I was like, okay, that's genius. Like, I love fruit during races, but I haven't actually trained with it before. So it's just something that I've thought about. Like, should I actually be training with it? But I eat fruit every morning before I go out and run. So I kind of think that's training with it, I guess.
It's a lot of times, it's especially in the heat, it's one of the only things I can get down, and it's really good fuel too.
Yeah.
So. It like seems to sit well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cantaloupe. He loves cantaloupe.
Yeah.
Which I personally think is disgusting.
You can't spell it either.
No, my God. This has been 2 races that I cannot spell that word. You think that I would be like, okay, like, let's learn to spell it. I think I'm just not going to now.
You're just going to have a picture of it? An emoji?
Yeah, I don't even know if I could draw that. I'm serious. I should count how many different ways that I spelled cantaloupe on these race sheets. It's quite hysterical.
Oh, gosh. All right, so before we get into Queeny 2026, is there anything that you want to touch on before we talk about Queeny? Any races or any turning points?
Anything?
I think just for training, I think that a lot of people wonder, and I wondered myself, like, whenever you're training for a backyard, you're like, how am I going to run all of those miles? Like, shouldn't I be doing long runs that are almost that long? And I think that, I don't know how many Backyard Ultra athletes practice loops, but I think that has kind of been like our little secret that I don't know if it's a secret, but that's like what we've done. That I think is really helpful. It's a lot of times when he's doing it, it's in the middle of the night. He's by himself and he's just in our neighborhood, and we have to run the same mile back and forth. Which is like really good mental training.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you're getting in a physical stimulus of like learning how to pace the backyards and like waiting for 10 minutes or whatever you have and then going back out. But like to do that when you're like, my bed is right there, it's 2 a.m. and I'm just running down my driveway, like that just gets really mundane, but that's what the backyard is. And I think that's just been a really important piece of training.
Yeah, I do think so. I think the simulations, it doesn't have to necessarily be 12 yards like I have been doing, but even this last prep for Queeny, I had planned on doing the 12 loops through the night, like I had done for the last 3 or 4 that I've done. But the weekend that I had planned to do that, the whole house got influenza A. So I got like 7 miles in that week or something. It wiped us out for like a week. So that kind of caused some uncertainty going into it. But also that was just another you just kind of get a pivot from that. In the backyard, you don't know what it's going to throw at you either. I didn't know we were going to have 80-degree temps and 33-degree temps in the same race. So you just got to take whatever they throw at you.
Yeah, absolutely. So going into Queeny, you kind of had a little bit of uncertainty from not getting that 12-yard, 12-hour simulation in. What were you thinking about in terms of goals? I know from what you've posted on social media, but a lot of our listeners don't know. So kind of where was your head at? What were you thinking going into this silver ticket race?
Yeah, so I signed up probably close to a year ago, like 9 or 10 months ago, with the intent. In 24, this was a silver ticket race, and I got third in that race, and Cody and Dave ran for like another 24 hours, so I wasn't close.
That's
but
crazy.
I was able to witness kind of like what it takes to be at that level. It's kind of been on my mind for 2 years to get to that silver ticket level. And then when I put some good races together and got some good training and experience under my belt, and I felt good going into the training lead up to the race. But as it got closer, I kind of struggled with what is the goal. And it kind of shifted from the original goal was to get that silver ticket. And it kind of shifted from that to just going as far as my legs will take me and finding my absolute limit. I've only really done that once before, and that was 2 years ago at Queeny when I had all the gut issues. I ran with gut issues for 24 hours until I didn't have anything left. I came in over 10 minutes over on my last loop, and that's the way I think you should go out. So I wanted to get to that point, but I hoped it would take me a lot further than it did 2 years ago.
I've heard you talk about, like, you don't believe in limits. So when you say you wanted to get to your absolute limit, like, what does that mean for you if you also don't necessarily believe in limits? Is it just raising that ceiling?
Yeah, I mean, the limit in 24 was 35 loops for me, and apparently that wasn't my limit because I ran 20 loops more this time. So you can keep pushing your body further and further, and if your legs still work and you can keep moving forward, then you can keep going.
Like, the limit is always moving. It's never like he found his limit at 55 yards this time, but we know that there's going to be another time, and he's going to try to figure that limit out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of runners in the backyard just quit before they're actually to that point. I would say 95%. And even this last one, I debate with myself, was I turned around, so I could have kept going. I probably wasn't going to make it, but I could have kept going. But a lot of runners quit in the chair or don't start the next loop or turn around too soon, and they could go a lot further than what they think they can, especially in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that the mind taking over. Their body can go so much further, and it's just training to not leave time on the clock, really.
For sure.
It's also hard in those moments, right? Where you ultimately turned around. Like, in that moment, like, you could say, like, that was your limit, but we always look back at things and say, I could have gone further, or, like, in the marathon, I could have ran a little bit faster. But in that moment, right, like, that's all that you had right there. But that moment also helps you remember that the next time, that, okay, I can push a little bit harder and a little bit longer because I've already been to this point before.
Yeah, absolutely. On the 55th yard, I turned around on that one before I got some encouragement to finish that yard. And I thought 18 minutes, or not even 13 minutes into my 55th yard, I thought it was over. I was running 18-minute pace. There was no way I was going to finish the rest of the yard in time to make it back. So I turned around, I texted Sam, and she texted back with a message from Cam Haynes and a bunch of encouraging texts from her, and then Nick called me. So I turned back around. So I was already slow, and then I wasted another couple minutes, and when I thought I was done, I couldn't hardly move, and then somehow I get this motivation to keep going, and then I finish the loop in time. So I think there's always more left in you.
Yeah, you just gotta continue to find those moments, right? And fill that toolbox even more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even like the smallest thing, you just kind of have to like grab onto really tight and be like, okay, just like get me through, like chunk it up. Like, okay, I just have to make it to this tree and then I'll see how I feel. And then once you get to that tree, you're like, well, I can't, like, I'm not going to turn around now. I'm like, okay, well, just make it to the 2 mile, make it to the 3 mile. And then all of a sudden the loop is done. And you're like, okay, I just have to do that one more time. And then just keep doing that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's one of the benefits to the backyard, right, is you can reset every loop. And you come back from one loop that maybe had felt horrible, and the next one can feel great just from that reset, which I think is just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is a benefit, but it can also be a detriment because
Yep.
each loop you get to sit down in that chair. Each loop you don't have to get back up again. So I think it works both ways. So you have to really learn how to deal with it and take a positive outcome from that.
Yeah. Are there any times when you don't sit down?
No, not intentionally.
I think the first thing you do is just come in and sit down.
Yeah. I haven't had any issues with sitting down and freezing up or anything. And I would say as far as quitting in the chair, I definitely did that in my first couple of backyards, but I've kind of changed my mindset since then. And I would say about every backyard I go into now, I'm prepared to go to war with myself and leave everything out there. So I've been in those moments where I know I'm sitting in the chair and you don't want to, but you have to get back up and you have to get back out there. It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah. So to get to that point, because this is a common problem in the backyard, right? Where people do have that internal fights, and a lot of people do just not start the next loop. So do you have any advice for those people who are trying to figure out, like, how do I actually decide, like, how do you actually make that decision, or how do you practice that in daily life or in training?
Honestly, for me, just the feeling after going in and finishing with 58 miles and quitting in the chair with a goal of 100 miles and just feeling that failure that on my second backyard was the biggest motivator for me. I never want to feel like that again. And luckily for me, I think the very next backyard I did, ran 100 miles, which was a goal of mine, and I won. And that was one of the greatest feelings I've had. I'm just chasing those kind of moments again, and I know it takes some experience, I think, but I know that your mind can change in minutes, seconds in the backyard. So I know you just have to get up and go back out there.
Yeah. Sam, have you been able to actually see that shift in Stormy from I don't want to do this to let's go in a race?
Yeah. His first couple, he would give a lot more warning to, I think I'm about done, or whatever. And it would come like sooner than I kind of anticipated. And since like at his first anvil, that was kind of my first time being like, oh my God, he's like kind of an animal. Okay. I don't know if we've told a lot of people this. He listens to the same playlist in order at the start of every loop. So every loop he started with the same song and go in the same order. And when he came back to camp, it was playing the same song every single loop. He never came in. His variations of loop times were all within 30 seconds of each other.
That is awesome.
It was truly insane. And like when people say lock in, like he quite literally was locked in. And I think since that race and then getting that win, it was kind of like a validation for him, to be like, okay, like I am who I think I am. Mm-hmm. And so now going into backyards, those comments won the rule. Like I don't ask him, are you doing okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? How do you feel? What hurts? Like, I don't ask any of those questions. When he says he's about done, it is so much later in the race. And it's truly when he's like, I'm really on the brink here. Mm-hmm. And even then, he doesn't even need a lot of encouragement, I'd say, to go back out. It's very, like, intrinsic.
And I'm not saying you have to chase a win. That's the high feeling that I was chasing. So I'm always kind of chasing that feeling, but set a goal going into it, and chase that goal. And then when you hit that goal, if your legs still work, keep going.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I have two questions off of what we were just talking about. So my first being songs. I saw your Spotify playlist for Queeny. Were you listening to that towards the end? Were you listening to that on repeat? When does music come in for you?
Honestly, now, not often. Like she said, the Broken Anvil, the first time, I listened to the same playlist, same order. When I passed a certain rock, I'd be listening to the same song. I was a metronome. And I do kind of use the pacing strategy similar to that, but as far as music, I turn it on at night or when I need it, just to keep me awake, really.
Do you get bored out there?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for saying that, because I feel like everyone says no that I've talked to. I'm like, are you crazy? Are you human?
No, I definitely do, and I'm not a social person. I can run by myself the whole race, but I still get bored. You're running in a 4-mile circle. If I'm choosing a place to run 200 miles, it's not going to be in a circle. It's going to be out west of the mountains or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam, were you going to say something else?
His first Broken Anvil, when he listened to his music like that, that's where he kind of got the nickname Stone Cold Cowboy, because he truly is like stone cold, and he wears that godforsaken cowboy hat. That was the first time you wore that cowboy hat. That was like your statement piece. He kind of has these like alter egos when he runs. I think it kind of helps him. And now since that race, he's just kind of went with it. But I think that music kind of like just helped him go to a place where he was like, okay, I just need to zone in and just do this. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And my other question on that note was, I think this can go two ways. So personally for me, I don't like verbalizing pain. Because I feel like if I verbalize it, it makes it true. And it makes it more of a bigger deal. But on the other side, a lot of people say that you should tell your crew things when they start popping up so that you can address them right away. Like, obviously, Stormy, you're not telling Sam, like, right away when stuff happens, right? Like, and she's also not asking you, like, all of these questions. So where do you stand on that kind of sliding scale of verbalizing it or not? And how it's benefiting you?
Yeah, I try my best, and I'm usually pretty good at not verbalizing pain at all. And
It's
Yeah,
a double-edged sword.
It is. I try not to show any sign of pain, whether even, I mean, definitely not to the competitors, just like that, but a lot to my crew too, because it changes the way they think. And with Sam's posting on social media all hours of the day too, so I just want to keep that to myself. And a lot of times I'll just compartmentalize it, and I mean, I realize I'm going through the pain, and then it's just pain. If everything still works, then no big deal. But on the same token, you kind of got to do a self-assessment. And when I'm hitting on all cylinders, before I get back to camp, I'll kind of do a self-check. Is there something that I can do in camp that can prevent this pain from getting worse or correct this pain? So if it's something with foot care or massage or something, or just taking an ibuprofen or Tylenol or whatever, then I'll relay that. Or if I feel like it's beneficial for the crew to know, I'll tell them. But if I don't think it is, it's my business.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of an indirect way of just, I don't know, looking for the solution right away, right? You're not saying, oh, I am in a lot of pain. You're just saying, I need ibuprofen, or I need whatever it is.
Yeah. And a lot of times you'll feel pain one loop and you'll never feel it again for the race. It's ultra running is weird like that. So yeah, you just kind of recognize it, put it in the back of your head, and move on.
I think for Queeny this year specifically, I think he probably could have done a little bit better towards the end. Maybe letting me kind of know what was going on. Like, his feet were really bad. I think that's the worst his feet have looked. And I didn't know that they were that bad until like after the 200-mile mark.
Okay.
And I think that like we've already, like that, we don't have a lot of time now to correct that. Like, maybe we could have corrected it if you had let us change your socks or something sooner. Maybe. Do you agree?
Was it maceration or blisters or both?
Blisters. Honestly, I don't think the feet were a huge deal throughout the race, but I could have taken better foot care, cleaning them and lubing them. But I had 3 other pains that were concerning, and then late towards the race, I took off faster than I had been running, and it kind of caused a few blisters, and that really caused the foot pain, which just made it, my running form was terrible after that. So I was compensating for one pain, and I had like 4 or 5 different pains going on that I was trying to compensate for, and it's just exacerbating everything I wasn't compensating for. So but I will say the sleep deprivation and not being as sharp mentally, I could have corrected. Maybe it was the feet or any of those pains. I could have done more to relay to my crew that, hey, we need to address this, even if it was taking a Tylenol or something. Towards the end of the race, I was so out of it that I quit thinking about that stuff.
Did you have a sleep strategy?
Yes, but so with this Queeny, we had a 3-hour break the first night, and my sleep strategy wasn't much of a strategy. It was just when it's dark, try to lay down on a cot and get a few minutes of sleep. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but I wasn't planning on getting in early to bank 10-15 minutes like I think Jeff was doing and Phil Gore's known for. It wasn't anything like that, but yeah, the first night we got a 3-hour break, so I got like an hour and a half of sleep, so it's more than I'd intended on getting the whole race. So it was, that's all I needed that night. And night 2 went pretty well as far as sleep. And then, let's see, night 3, yeah, I'd never been there before, and I was just kind of starting to get out of it. But up until then, I wasn't truly sleep deprived. I wasn't hallucinating like I had before, so it's not the worst deprivation I've had.
Yeah.
Have you hallucinated in backyards, or was it in Cocodona, or both?
I've never had like bad hallucinations. Like, I don't know, you hear the stories of Courtney DeWalter hallucinating like
Scary stuff.
gnomes and scary stuff, and I've never had anything like that. But I've seen like rocks or trees that I thought were like coyotes or animals or something, and you kind of stare at them for a while. I'm like, oh, that's just a rock.
And you did actually get hit in the head by an owl.
Yeah, and I got hit by an owl, I think towards the end of the second night, but I'm pretty sure I got hit in the head by an owl. That wasn't a hallucination, but other than that, like I'll fall asleep running, which seems weird to people who haven't done that before, but just running and you fall asleep, and that's when you know you got to take some caffeine or get a nap in or whatever.
Yeah. How much caffeine do you think you were taking in?
Not much the first day, and then it was like 11 or 12 at night. The first night I took a ketone IQ with a caffeine. It had like 100 milligrams of caffeine. And that, I was actually struggling. Probably, as far as sleep goes, that was probably the worst I'd struggled staying awake, was the first night. And I took one of those and I was renewed. It's like,
and then we got hit with the delay.
Yeah, and then an hour later we got a rain delay, so we're supposed to try to sleep for 3 hours, but I just took this caffeine. But I got enough sleep, and after that it was just kind of like a steady drip. Whenever I felt like a little groggy, I'd take some, and I haven't tallied anything up, but I would say at least 1,000 milligrams a day.
Yeah, I mean, he drinks Mountain Dew religiously.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, like that is like his thing.
Honestly, isn't a ton of caffeine. Like a can is like 50 or 60, and I'll drink like half a can an hour, so maybe like 30.
Yeah, that's true.
But I also take the 100-gram ketone IQs. I took 6 of those throughout the race, and I took a 200 milligram caffeine pill a couple times, and coffee. It all adds up. I'm sure I had close to 2,500 milligrams throughout the race, but I haven't looked for sure.
Yeah. How did you feel about the 3-hour break? Like obviously it was, you got some sleep there, but did that kind of shift how you were thinking about the race? Did it mentally hit you at the beginning?
Initially, I wasn't fond of it because it just looked like, I mean, I didn't look at the radar too much, but it just looked like heavy rain. I didn't think we were getting tornadoes or anything. I was just like, I can run in rain. But I get it. There was a lot of lightning, and sun was pretty close. So I respect the call. But I didn't know how I would feel after a 3-hour break. I'd never had a 3-hour break after running, 50 miles or whatever we had run. But I felt great. And a lot of people were, the people who were eyeing the silver ticket were kind of worried because we weren't really sure if that would eliminate this being a silver ticket race. And, you know, Stephanie drove across the country, and there's guys who really won that silver ticket. But luckily for me, I kind of shifted my mindset before the race that I wasn't really eyeing the silver ticket. I was eyeing to run until I can't anymore. So that didn't really change my mindset.
Yeah.
I think I struggled with it more than he did. I'll be honest. I'm just such a rule follower, and I was like, there's no way. I was like, that's not the rules. Like, you know. So Stormy, even 50 miles deep, was my voice of reason. He was trying to sleep, and I was like, are you sure it's going to be okay? And he was like, yes. But I mean, it was I say just a thunderstorm, but it was very heavy thunder and lightning. So I get it. And in the back of my head, I knew in my heart and soul that Stormy could get the silver ticket. Like I could just feel it in my body, and I was like, I know that he's like not saying he's going for that, but like I just was kind of projecting onto him, like I really think he could do it. And so I was worried that if the delay messed with, one, the silver ticket, and two, how he felt, because once you stop running, you're like, oh my god, that's horrendous to try again. I think if it had happened later in the race, it would have been a much different story just for everyone across the board. I think 50 miles to these, I'll call them like elite backyard people, I don't want to say it's nothing, but it's something that they can kind of recover and adapt to easier.
Yeah, I know you mentioned it in your blog post, Stormy, about originally you were thinking about the first 12 hours kind of being that buy-in. And that's what I think of it too, is like you just have to get through the first 50 miles or 70 miles before like the race actually starts. But now you're thinking of the first 100 as that buy-in now, which I absolutely love.
Yeah. In a smaller race, I might think different, but either way, it's like that first amount of hours, it's like a completely different race for me. And I enjoy like the meeting new people part of it, but other than that, honestly, it's like my least favorite part of the race. Like it's like I have to pay the bill to get into this race. I'm like spending these first 12 or 24 hours just like going through the motions. I know I can do it. I just got to get there. So just hour after hour buying my way in, and then you get to whatever you consider your buy-in, which for me was, in this race, was 24 hours. And then for the first time, and even throughout the whole race, I was running towards the front of the pack, at least to start each loop. And for the first time after 24 hours, I looked behind me and kind of did like how many people are left? Is there 100 or 20? And I think there's 20 or 30, which is a lot of people to complete 100 miles. It's the first time I even kind of thought about anybody else and how they were doing.
I love that. I love that approach of like not even really, I don't want to say caring, but like you're just focused on what you're doing. And I think that's really important to the backyard.
Yeah.
I think that's one of his strengths. And that kind of plays out into his entire life. Like the way that his mind works in a backyard is, it also translates into like how he is as an employee or a husband or a father. Like that, it's all connected. And he's just very focused on like, this is what I can control and this is what I can do. And anything beyond that is a waste of my energy, and I'll meet it when it gets here.
That's
I'm
a
the
really
opposite.
valuable skill.
Yeah, it definitely is valuable for the backyard. I mean, you can only control what you can control. And definitely in the backyard, you can't control what any of your competitors are doing. I mean, maybe you could argue you could play some head games, but at the end of the day, you can't control what they're going to do. So
Right.
you just got to run your own race.
Did you know who was showing up to the race? Do you look ahead of time to see who's going to be running?
Yeah, I didn't pay a lot of attention, but I did know Cody, Stephanie, Nick, and Jeff were all going to be there, and I kind of had an idea that we were kind of going to be the last five there, so I didn't pay a lot of attention, but I did know those guys were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
When it's
kind of
also-
our prediction. Were those people, and those were the people that were still there.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of reassuring, right? To actually know that there are people that can go very far so that you're able to push yourself and go even further.
Yeah, with the fundraiser too, I wanted to pick a race that I knew was going to go far, so I had the best opportunity to raise as much money for the park we were raising money for.
Yeah. So let's talk about the fundraiser. Let's talk about what you actually did, because I think it's a brilliant idea, and I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, so I did a similar one in 2024 at Queeny, but like a month before the race, I decided to put together this fundraiser we called Pledge to the Park. And basically, it's a local park where I do a lot of my training on, and they're kind of taking care of the trails and could use some money to get some new trail markers and stuff. I asked for pledges for $50, and people would fill out the form, fill out this pledge form, and I'd put their name into a bucket, and I call it the pledge bucket. And I was seeking like 60 pledges I put out, so which would be 250 miles, 2.5 days worth of running. But the response was kind of overwhelming, and I got like 90 pledges. So I filled this bucket with 90 pledges, which I put on labels on Legos this time. So each
stacking bricks.
Yeah, so each loop I would pull a name out of this bucket, which was on a Lego, and I'd stack it on the table, and that would solidify a $50 donation to the park that I chose. So we were able to pull 55 bricks, and we made a nice little Lego brick wall, which amounted to like $2,800. But just getting that out there was people that wanted to donate that didn't even pledge. So we raised like another $2,000 on top of that. So actually today I went out to the park and was able to give them a check for $4,800 that'll go to the park. And it's just kind of a good way to turn some miles into money, raise some awareness for the park. And it also kind of kept me motivated to go another loop, especially towards the later ones. It was just like an extra motivation to go as far as I absolutely could.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. It's just another one of those little sources of motivation that we were talking about to continue ongoing. I mean, $50 is a big deal, and that adds up quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. I want to touch on kind of towards the end. What's going through your head when you're feeling these pains and you're kind of in that internal battle of, am I actually done, or can I still push this a little more? And how do you keep on moving forward?
Well, before they really turned too severe, I kind of saw, I think it was Sunday afternoon, Nick had mentioned to me earlier that day that his shin was hurting, and he's a crazy runner. He's trying to run like 30, 100-mile plus races this year, and I think he had
he's
couple
running
races.
one right now.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
So we're 2 weeks post-race, and he's running another 100-miler. So he didn't want to injure himself for that. But, he told me he was thinking about dropping after 200 miles or whatever, which is crazy still. But so I was kind of like, I might have him on the ropes. And then a few hours later, I hadn't really talked to Jeff much throughout the race at all or seen him. But I look back, and he's laying in the sun and looks sunburnt, and
he looked toast.
Yeah, he looked like he was toast. I turned to Sam like, is that Jeff? Because he doesn't look good. But then we go back. So I thought I had him on the ropes, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I was hurting, but I wasn't done yet. So I drank a can of Black Rifle coffee and put on my headphones and blurred Iron Man through them and got to the start line and took off at like 8-minute pace trying to make a statement. And then I tore up my feet. That's when my feet, every part of my foot started to hurt. So I was limping and trying to figure that out to keep going. And that was probably the worst pain of the whole race. But shortly after that, Jeff comes up behind me, and he's like running a 42-minute loop to get some sleep or something. I'm like, what the heck? I just destroyed my feet. I thought this dude was about done, and Nick's still being Nick. So it just kind of, my morale went to, oh, I think I have these guys on the ropes, and that was kind of the first time, we're like 52 hours into the race or something. And that was the first time I let somebody else's race affect mine. I was just saying how I run my own race, and that worked for 52 hours, and then I made a mistake, and I started considering how they were doing, and kind of affected mine. So that exacerbated my foot pain and my morale. But I kind of, on that same lap, I kind of reassessed, and it sucked, but I was like, we're in major pain now, but we can still keep moving. And so I kept doing that for a few more hours, but I wasn't in the right headspace, and I kind of relaxed on taking care of myself. So the pain kept surmounting on top of each other. So.
Yeah, that gets excuse me. That gets hard to manage too, right? Especially when you are sleep deprived, you are fatigued, you are just done. To be able to continue to go on. But I mean, you still went on for 2+ more hours, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I was still able to, so I was pretty consistent. I was running like 48-minute loops the whole time, and for a couple hours, I was still able to run 48-minute loops, even though it felt like I was going a lot slower just because every step hurt. But I was still moving good. Up until the last couple where I wasn't, and my hamstring just every step was like sending a shock through my body. So, but I went into the race with the mindset that I was going to keep going until I couldn't anymore, and it sucked, but I could still keep moving forward. And even when I thought I couldn't, it was lap 55, and I turned around and we did all that, and I still finished the loop even when I thought I couldn't. Mm-hmm. And that loop I finished in like 57 minutes, and Sam and Riley brought the chair and the stuff up to the start line, so I didn't have to go back to the tent. But I think it was lap 56. I made it like a quarter mile, and I just couldn't go anymore.
So Sam, when do you start to worry?
So because I'm who I am, I started making notes, and where is this? Yeah, at loop 50, so he started saying that he doesn't care what he eats. And I was like, okay, that's not good. And he was only eating cantaloupe from like 200 miles on. And I was like, okay, that's great, but that's not going to be enough. Especially when he kind of had like, I wouldn't say a bad attitude in camp, but he was just like, yeah, I don't care. So I was starting to get kind of concerned, but he still kept going. So I was like, okay, well, we're doing what we need to do, and he's still going. So I just kind of left it alone. I also this time didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the other runners. At any point, I wasn't quite sure who was left until obviously the end. And sometimes, I'm watching the other runners for him, like kind of trying to assess them. And sometimes I'll be like, hey, they're looking like this, or, their crew maybe said this, or, whatever. And I didn't give him any of that information. And I'm kind of surprised that this time they maybe not got into his head, but I think he got into his own head before, whereas I'm usually the one that's like, okay, like you got to keep going because they're almost gonna, they're gonna drop soon. And a lot of times when I say that, he's like, I'm not worried about it. I'm worrying about me. So it was wild to experience that get to him, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I was, when he came in, at nighttime, when my phone goes off, I'm like instantly like, oh my God, who is it? Because at Queeny in 2024, he texted me saying he wasn't going to make it back on time. And so now I have like PTSD of like when it's nighttime and my phone goes off, I'm like, oh my God, it's Stormy. And my phone did go off. But like we already touched on, I sent him the message from Cam Haynes and then he finished. So when he came back with only 57 minutes left, I knew he could keep going because, we all pay attention to bigs and whatever. And there are runners who come in at 58 minutes for 12 plus hours and still go. Yeah. But I don't think I realized how much like pain he was in rather than just like being tired and like kind of done with it. I think he was like truly in pain. And then whenever I watched him start the 56th loop, I was like, oh, good God, like that is not good. Like he looks really bad. And I think, I don't know if he could hear me, but I was yelling, finish the loop, Stormy, finish the loop. And it was like from a movie. He was like in the distance and I was like, and then there was this guy with this freaking bugle instrument or something. I don't even know what it was, but I went back to the tent and I was like, okay. I was like, oh my God, okay. I was just nervous. And then I heard the bugle instrument or whatever it was, and it was kind of like, wah, wah, wah. And then I was like, I know who that's for. Oh. And I was so sad and also kind of embarrassed that music played for him. And so I went out and sure enough, it was Stormy.
Yeah. Oh.
No.
So another question about the crewing side for those who aren't really familiar with the backyard or just even ultras in general, what are you doing back at camp while Stormy is out there running? Because I think, like, I don't ever want to discredit the amount of work that goes in for runners, but a runner's job is kind of easy, right? Because that's all you need to do, even though it's also not easy at all. But crew, like, you're the brains, you're the logistics, you are getting everything ready. So can you just talk through a little bit about like what you're doing in between seeing Stormy?
Yeah. So as far as like for him, I'm, potentially prepping food, or setting out options or, cleaning up the mess that he just made when he came into the tent. And refilling water bottles, making sure we have cold water because he always likes cold water when he comes back in. So just like things like that for the runner. Or sometimes he'll be like, I'm going to change my clothes next loop. So I'll grab all of those clothes and have them ready. But like when it's nice out and during the day, I am chit-chatting with other crew members. I'll be honest. I love crewing, fills my cup so much. And if somebody has the opportunity to crew, very much recommend talking to other camps and runners crews, because I have so many like newfound friendships through that, and it keeps you busy, because like, yes, you're getting stuff ready for your runner, but that takes like 10 to 15 minutes usually. And then you do have time to talk or take care of yourself also, which I'm guilty of forgetting about. I have to remember to feed myself too, or I have to remember to get sleep, because I also can't be as sleep deprived as him 50 hours into the race, because I do have to be the brains, like you said. I have to make sure that I'm mostly on it for him. But it's genuinely one of my favorite things in this entire world. I wish I could do it full time. For real.
I mean, you could. Have you
Probably.
seen some of like chaos crewing, but also at the same time, like they both have full-time jobs. But there are some people that are starting to, like, besides run coaching, they are crewing and pacing, which I think is just incredible.
I would absolutely love to do that. I tell Stormy all the time, I'm like, I have got to figure out a way to be paid to just be me. Because, like, I've got to figure this out. But even not paid, I would be there. But yeah, it's, crewing is I'm glad that you're validating that it is still very much an undertaking, because it is, especially if you're going to crew someone at like a point-to-point thing, like Cocodona. That was the most stressful thing that I've done crew-wise. With a backyard, it's much easier because you are just in that camp, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. What do you think crewing has taught you as a runner yourself?
So yeah, that dynamic was really interesting. My first backyard. One, I think it helped me kind of know what to expect. I didn't make the same pacing mistakes, because I had our guinea pig here to do that. Yeah. Which I kind of think is like what attributed to a lot of my success with my first backyard. You know, my goal was 50 miles that race, and I ended up doing 75, which was just like insane to me.
You kind of lived through some of those mistakes without actually running it, and you shortened that learning curve.
Right. What I did learn as a runner, I didn't realize how difficult it was to tell your crew what you wanted to eat. I really struggled with that at my race. I'd come in and they'd be like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "I have no idea." And that was from like 3 hours in. Like I wasn't even far into the race, and I was like, "I don't know." So I think that has helped me crew him, because I'm like, he doesn't know. I do need to give him just options, and then he can make that choice. But if you can't see your options, you don't have enough brain power to be like, "Oh yeah, we brought this." Because we bring like a 55-gallon tub of food. He could run for a month with the food that we bring.
Isn't that the truth though? Because you never know what's gonna work best for you, so you don't want to just bring 10 gels of this kind of gel and 10 of this. Like, you want to bring adequate amounts of everything.
Yeah, we bring a lot more than we actually eat, but it's good for recovery too, because we get home and then the last couple of weeks I've just been picking out of that bin, or the first week before I put it all away, I was just eating the rest of what was in that bin. I only actually ate like 10% of what we brought, but got snacks for the next month.
Yeah, at the end, I just like gave him the bin, and I just put the bin next to his chair, and I was like, "Okay, look through the bin." Like it's like, I don't know, like a magic treasure box. Like, figure it out. Let's see what we get this time.
Stormy, have you crewed any races?
So I crewed that one for Sam last fall, and that was my first real crewing experience. I paced a friend out at Cocodona one year, but I haven't really done much crewing. But it was a nice change of pace to be the one in the tent at a Backyard Ultra and not the one running. Yeah.
Did it give you any insights as you are usually the runner into like maybe it would be more beneficial for me to do X or Y, or now I understand it from a crewing perspective?
Yeah, there's a lot more. I understand it from a crewing perspective. I'd much rather be the runner, I think, personally. And I'll never fill Sam's shoes as far as like the social media side of it. So
he tried his best.
I did try my best. I posted updates as much as I could, but they weren't quite as lively as Sam's. So, but no, it did make me appreciate crewing a lot more. I would recommend it to backyard runners to crew a race if you haven't.
Yeah, especially if it's like your first, right? If you're signed up for one and you haven't been to one, just to experience it and see what other runners are doing and get some ideas.
Yeah, because everyone's strategy in camp is different. Mm-hmm. Like there's so many things that people do. Like some of the stuff that I was doing, Stormy would never do. I was doing like PT exercises in between and whatnot. And he, like, if I suggested him do that, he would quite literally tell me to get out of the tent. Like, but for me, like that was an important thing for me to do. So if nothing else, if you're going to just show up to a race and just kind of observe and take notes and see, and just see, like, okay, well, I might try that this race or, whatever.
So I have 2 more questions before we kind of get to the end. Let's see which way I want to go with this first. Stormy, what do you think Queeny taught you about yourself, and what are you going to carry forward into the next one?
I'd say it was a little bit of validation. It was a pretty big PR for me. I went 20 hours further than I had before. There's a lot of question. I always thought I could run quite a bit further than I had the previous Queeny. But you never know until you actually go out there and do it. So there's a lot of validation. Then just the experience of the last 3 or 4 hours of the race. I'd never really had one unfold quite like that. I think I can take a lot away from that, especially later in the race, taking better care of yourself, keeping your mind sharp, do the things you need to do. If you need to take an afternoon nap or something that I wouldn't have really considered before. But yeah, I think a lot of I didn't make many mistakes, but the ones I did make can be prevented, and I can learn from that race. And then also just the weather and the break, and we had 33-degree weather, we had thunderstorms and 80-degree weather, and what more variety could a race throw at you? And I've already been through that, so you know you can do it. And we had a 3-hour break. I've already done that, so if one of those things comes up before, it's like you've already done that. So there's a lot to take away from the race for me, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So both of you are running Broken Anvil. So who is going to crew you?
I would like Dylan to crew you, but I guess that's his choice.
Yeah, probably best friend Dylan, but we'll see what he's got going. We haven't really got that far.
And Sam, what about you? Do you know?
I'm sure my parents will be there, but I think my friend Riley will be like the person there. So hopefully that helps. And then I think it'll be interesting to run it with him. Mm-hmm. One, I know he can go a long time. And hopefully he does at that race. And then like I can kind of do the same and kind of like, I don't want to say ride his coattails as in like, but I can kind of just like feed off of that. Like, okay, if Stormy's still going, like I can still go and kind of do that. But I promise you, we likely will not run a single yard together.
You just read my mind. I was going to ask Stormy if you're going to slow down for one lap or whatever to run together, or if you're going to keep your pacing completely separate.
I haven't decided. Well, I'll run one with her for sure, but We'll see how the day goes after that.
I mean, I would assume that if I was like really struggling, and like, if I had a specific goal in mind and I was like on the brink of that, I think he would be like, okay, like, I can take this loop or two to get you going. 'Cause you offered to do that for Trey. His brother also ran Queeny this year.
Yeah.
And he had offered to do that for him, and that was early in the race. So he does have a kind heart in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think I don't mind speeding up or slowing down, and I definitely do that for her, my brother, whoever, a close friend. It's easier for me to get in that metronome state. Right. And
yep.
For me, it doesn't bother me to run 48-minute loops consistently, and it works pretty well for me, actually. And I don't have to think about it, so that's just what I do.
Right. Yeah. All right. So my last 2 questions that I've been asking everyone is, what advice do you have for runners who are hesitant to running a backyard ultra?
Don't be hesitant. No, just go out there and do it. No, honestly, I learned a lot from the first two that I had done. First of all, run at a slower pace than you think you need to. Just take your time. You don't need to go out there and run 42-minute loops. But also, a lot of people say not to set goals because you get to your goal and you won't go further. I'd say set a goal. When you achieve that goal, you get that high of achieving your goal. Don't stop there. Just reassess there. Do your legs still work? Can you keep going forward? And if the answer is yes, then keep going.
Yeah, I like that answer.
Do I go now?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
Unless your answer is the same in not being
No.
hesitant.
No, I mean, yeah, don't be, I guess, but I'm not that simple. The backyards are like the barrier to entry is so incredibly low. And it's like the risk is so low. So it's like, why wouldn't you? Because there's so many backyards like the Broken Anvil where you can show up, and if you show up and you can only do the 4.167 miles, you're going to be celebrated.
Yep.
So it's like, why would you not? I would turn that question back on that person and be like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
That's crazy town.
Yeah, no, I love that. And sometimes it's hard in the moment, right? Especially if you haven't experienced that or you don't know that that'll be celebrated, because it's so different from other types of races, right? So I think also just like explaining that to runners that like everyone is going to cheer for you when you finish that first loop. And if you're done, like they're still going to celebrate that for you.
Right.
Yeah, we're lucky to have a lot of supportive people and people who have just come to, like I had a big group of like 10 people just to watch at Queeny, and when somebody new shows up to the backyard, they're just amazed at what everybody's doing and the camaraderie, and it's you got to experience it to really understand.
Yeah, absolutely. My last question is, if you could fuel with only one source of fuel for the duration of your backyard, what would you fuel with?
I'd probably have to go with Mountain Dew. I mean, a little caffeine,
Some
a lot of
carbs.
calories. I mean, for me, it never doesn't go down. So, I mean, it's probably lacking on some electrolytes, but I could probably run on just Mountain Dew for a long time.
That's just so crazy. The color alone is like, that should not go into a human body. I don't think.
Probably not the best for longevity. I might have to try running for 24 hours on just Mountain Dew one of these days.
Oh, that would
The
be
Mountain Dew run. I like
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
Oh, mine. Now, if we're like in a perfect world with no rules and no consequences,
No
it would
rules.
Yeah.
Does that fit in your world?
I don't know if it does, but I guess I
Okay,
should
we'll
say
go
no consequences.
Okay.
It would be probably mac and cheese.
Ooh.
Like I
All right.
love a good hearty bowl of mac and cheese, and if I could just eat that the whole time and like not feel like an elephant afterwards, like that would be so ideal.
Are you planning to have mac and cheese packed with you for Broken Anvil or in May?
Oh gosh, no. What I fueled with at my last race was like bacon and Dots and fruit.
Oh.
Like Dots the candy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that I really
Aren't
love that.
Aren't they hard to chew?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a terrible race candy.
they're not that bad. They do get stuck in my teeth, but you only need like 7 or 8 of them to get like almost 20 grams of carbs. Like that is so ideal. You can pop that in and chew it and just like get it done with even when you don't want to. And now you have some carbs. Like that is, I think it's genius.
I really think like any of those gummy candies are really good because I mean I use sour gummy worms and you need 7 for 27 grams of carbs. Like,
Oh, doesn't that cut up your mouth?
no, I don't know why. I don't feel like they're as sour as Sour Patch Kids. I can't do Sour Patch Kids for long. That's what my husband uses.
My mouth got really icky towards the end, and I honestly couldn't even tell what flavor of things I was drinking.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know what is in this, but I'll drink it.
Mountain Dew.
God,
Absolutely.
better not.
Well, Stormy, Sam, thank you so much for this conversation. For those who are interested, who are wanting to follow you, can you please let everyone know how they can follow you, where they can follow you?
I'll probably speak for the both of us on this because Stormy doesn't really post on Instagram. He is on Instagram. I think it's just at Stormy Hild. My Instagram is constantly updated with my own stuff and his stuff. And you can find me at Samantha Hild _.
Awesome. I will put both of those in the show notes. And you also have a small apparel company, correct?
Oh, yes. Wow.
Can you touch on
do.
that?
Yeah, so I had a little printing business growing up through high school, and I kept that for probably 10 or 15 years. And the last couple of years, I kind of got out of that and just focused on this apparel brand. And it's kind of a way to get my creative side out there, and I kind of just make designs I like, and we sell pretty good quality apparel at hardworkcompany.com.
Awesome. I'll also include that. And I'm also going to include your blog post because I think it's just really well written. And your Cocodona post is there as well. So if anyone wants to read those, the links will be in the show notes. But until then, thank you again. If you are listening to this and you are wondering, like, do you belong in the Backyard Ultra? Like, let this be your reminder. Sign up. Do 1 yard. See what it's all about. And I promise you, like, you're going to love the community. You're going to love the feel. And you don't have to have it all figured out right away, right? Like, it's this trial and error process. It's figuring out how far you can go each time and just trying to push beyond that every time after that. So until next time, just go 1 more hour and 1 more step. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for tuning in to 1 More Hour. If you enjoyed this episode, hit follow so you don't miss the next yard. And share it with a runner who loves pushing their limits. I'd love to hear your own stories of going 1 more. Connect with me on Instagram at the 1 More Hour podcast. And if you could leave a quick review, it'll help more runners find the show and keep going when they want to stop. Until next time, just go 1 more hour.